Hey everyone, Mac here, and we're going to talk about how to solve for quadratic equations. We've done one where we pulled out the greatest common factor, but now we're going to work on all that factoring we did in an earlier unit, and now we're going to find out how to solve. If you notice, the only difference between something like this, we were kind of simplifying an expression, but now we have an equal zero. Once we get an equal zero, once we have that say equal zero, now we can actually solve and become an answer. So now, I always want to get my questions to say equal zero. Once I do that, watch what I have here. I have something times something equals zero. Well, if you want something to equal zero, all you have to do is multiply something by zero. So if I can take this parenthesis and make them say zero, I will get 0 times whatever. I don't care. 8, negative 20, a billion. It doesn't matter what this parenthesis is. This parenthesis can be anything it wants. As long as that parenthesis is 0, my whole answer is going to be 0, and I'm going to win. So I'm just going to take this x minus 6. Hey, I want my x minus 6 to equal 0. Now solve. Plus 6, boom, die, x equals 6. Yay, I've got my answer, I win. However, what about that parenthesis? And why did I win? I put 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. That's 0. If I put a 6 there, that'll be 8, but I don't care because 0 times 8 is 0. But isn't that the same for that parenthesis too? If he equals 0, will not I get the same result? Sure I will. So let's write it. Let's get my x plus 2 to equal 0. Now I'm just going to subtract 2 to both sides, and I'm going to get x equals a negative 2. And guess what? I have 2 answers. When we do these quadratics, you will often get 2 answers. It's possible to get 1. It's possible to get no answers, actually. But you can get up to 2 answers, and you often will have 2 answers. So that's okay. If you notice, negative 2 fits here. If I put a negative 2, that's a 0. What's this parenthesis? I don't care. Whatever times 0 is going to give me 0. All right? So now let's go back to something that looks like this. X squared, x number. Why did we care in the previous unit to break it into 2 binomials? Because when I do, I can do this. So let's do it. Okay? Parenthesis, 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 parenthesis equals 0. Third term negative. That means my signs are going to be different. Factors of the third. Subtract to the middle. Okay, well that'll be 9 and 2. And the bigger factor gets a sign of the middle, 9 and 2. We did a lot of videos on these earlier, okay? So hopefully that's something that you're a pro at. If not, go back, maxtutorials.com, at least as of now. It's going to be chapter 8, and we talk about how to do that. Now that I have this, x plus 9 equals 0, and make x minus 2 equals 0. And once I subtract 9 from either side, x equals negative 9. And this one is going to be, once I add 2 to both sides, I'm going to get x equals 2. Okay? So negative 9 and 2 are my answers. And if you notice, we don't like you doing things in your head, but once you get to this thing, 2 minus 2 is going to equal 0. You have a positive 9. What can I plug in to make them equal 0? A negative 9. If you notice, it's going to be the opposite of what's in there. Okay, let me do one more for you, and then you guys can get off and do some of these with the practice sheet. Okay, so here, let me erase the board and get one more problem for you. Okay, let's look at this one. This is one of those nasty ones with the leading coefficients, but let's give it a try. Boom, 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 and boom. The 2x, I can go 2x and x, and now I've got to find factors of 3, either 3 and 1 or 1 and 3. But before I do, I see that my third term is negative, so my signs are going to be different. But I want my outies and my innies to be something that will subtract to 5. If I put my 3 here and I put my 1 here, what are my outies? That's a 6x. What's my innies? A 1x. Will they subtract to 5? They sure will. But I want my 6 to be positive and I want my 1 to be negative. So 2x times what flavor of 3 will give me a positive 6? A positive. What kind of a 1 times x will give me a negative 1x? A negative 1. This was my answer. This is what we've done before. However, now I'm going to write equals 0 on it. Now we're going to solve. So what I need to do, I didn't give myself a lot of room, did I? Maybe I shouldn't have centered that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one over here. 2x minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to do this one over here. X plus 3 equals 0. All I have to do is solve. Let's start with this one. Minus 3, boom, x equals negative 3. That's one of the solutions, but there's two. Let's take a look at this one. If I add 1 to both sides, I'm going to get 2x equals 1. Now I have to divide to solve for the 2, so I'm going to divide each by 2. X equals 1/2. So when you look at your answer key or your answer sheet or your, maybe it's multiple choice or something, you need both. You need x equals 1/2 and x equals negative 3. And if you have both answers, you're going to win, okay? So let's do the worksheet. Watch me go problem by problem, and the more you do, the better you're going to feel on this. I'll see you guys on the worksheet.